Hello students, I am Dr. Krupa Rasne, Professor and Head ENC Department, Jain College of Engineering, Belgavi. So I welcome you all students for this first video of Module 3. In this Module 3, we'll be looking into the control rectifiers and AC voltage controller. In that, we have control rectifiers, introduction, principle of phase controlled converter operations. This will be covering in this particular video. Then followed by full converter, single phase full converter with RL load, single phase dual converters, single phase semi converters with RL load, AC voltage controllers, introduction, principle of on-off control, principle of phase control, single phase controller with resistive and inductive loads. So basically we are looking into two chapters of Rashid, the prescribed textbook. In that we are dealing with two power converters. One is the controlled rectifier and the other is basically the AC voltage controller. So these two chapters have been merged as module 3 and we will have about 7 videos for this particular chapter and likewise we'll have the Bloom's taxonomy specified as L1, L2, L3. Because of the L3 we'll also be having certain problems to solve in this particular chapter. So the textbook is again Mohammad H. Rashid, Power Electronics, Circuits, Devices and Application, 3rd, 4th editions. Okay, so let us begin with this particular module 3, the first one, that is controlled rectifiers, introduction, principle of phase controlled converter operations. So principle of phase controlled rectifier, and it is also called as line commuted AC to DC converter. So we all know what is a rectifier and how it works. So basically an rectifier will have an AC input and it will have a DC output. And why we say line commuted is because the input AC itself, when it goes negative, is able to turn off the power devices that are used in this converter circuit. So it is called as line commuted converters. So basically type of inputs that we can give to this control rectifier is fixed voltage and also the fixed frequency AC power supply. The type of output is a variable because it is controlled rectifier. It becomes variable DC output. If it was if it was not a controlled rectifier, then this output also would have been fixed. But because it is controlled rectifier, it becomes a variable DC output. Now this is possible because now in the rectifier we are not using diode, we'll be using a thyristor or an SCR. And the type of commutation here is natural because the input itself is going to go negative and is able to turn off the thyristor. So let us look briefly what is the difference between a diode rectifier and phase controlled rectifier. So the diode rectifiers are referred to as uncontrolled rectifiers. So diode are the controlling devices inside. And this diode rectifiers gives us a fixed DC output voltage. Each diode will conduct for 1/2 cycle and the conduction angle will be from 0 to 180 degrees. So the total conduction period will be 180 degrees or pi radians. We cannot control the DC output voltage or the average DC load current in a diode rectifier circuit. So once at 0 it starts conducting and stops conducting at pi. So in between I cannot control the current flowing through the load resistance. Hence a single phase half wave diode rectifier gives an average output voltage. Now average means DC output voltage, V naught DC equal to Vm by pi. This is for half wave diode rectifier. And for single phase half wave full diode rectifier, the average output voltage will be V naught DC is equal to 2 times Vm by pi, because even the negative half cycle will be rectified. So for full wave I get 2 Vm by pi. For half wave I'll get Vm by pi. And we are using single phase because in your syllabus we are dealing only with single phase and not any other multi-phase or three-phase or multi-phase kind of a input supply. So looking briefly into the applications of phase control rectifiers, DC motor control in AC mills, paper and textile mills employ the DC motor drives, and we can use wherever the input required is DC, we can use a control rectifier to control the speed of the motor. Same thing with AC fed traction system using DC traction motor. Electrochemical and electrometallurgical processes, magnetic power supplies, portable hand tools, tool drives, etc. So most of them are DC drives, and these DC drives are need to be variable. Hence, it can be used phase controlled rectifiers. Coming to the classification of phase control rectifiers, we can have single phase control rectifiers, three phase control rectifiers. And looking at single phase control rectifiers, we can have half wave control rectifiers, full wave control rectifiers, semi converters, full converters, dual converters. And each of these rectifiers, controlled rectifiers, they could be associated with R load and RL load. Now let us look at this half wave thyristor converter with the resistive load. So what we see in the circuit is, this is the transformer primary. The secondary side we connect a SCR, a single SCR connected in series with a load. So this works like your normal rectifier, half wave rectifier, because now SCR conducts only in one direction, and hence it is forward biased only during the positive half cycle. Okay, and it also conducts current in one direction, hence the load current is always going to be positive or in one direction. So this particular explanation is given in this quadrantal operation. So if you draw output voltage with input, we see that the circuit will always give you positive voltage at the output and also have positive current, unidirectional current flowing. Okay, and hence we say that this rectifier works in the first quadrant operation. In fact, we can define classification of controlled rectifiers based on the quadrantal operation of these controlled rectifiers. So most of the rectifiers, whether it is half wave, full wave, if they are having resistive load, they will fall under this category and they work in one quadrant operation. Okay, so here the waveforms are there. These waveforms are respect with the input. So this is, we are looking at the secondary of the transformer, that is Vm sin omega t. So this is your sine waveform, and this is the output voltage which is across the load, and output voltage will be same as input if this thyristor conducts, because these thyristors are working as a switch. So when it turns on, it is going to short circuit and resistor will come across the input. So whatever is at the input will come at the output, but provided the switch is closed. That is, the thyristor is on. Now the thyristor can be made on when it is forward biased. Hence you can turn on the thyristor only during the positive half cycle, but only after a gate pulse is applied. So even though it is positive here, it will not start conducting from 0, and it will wait for the gate pulse to come. That time when the gate pulse arrives, we call it as the firing angle alpha. So once the firing angle comes, then it starts to turn on from alpha to pi. So this thyristor is off from 0 to alpha, but on from alpha to pi. So when the thyristor is off, that is 0 to alpha, there will be no current that will flow through the load, and hence the load voltage will be 0. Okay, so this, from 0 to alpha there will be no load voltage. After alpha, the thyristor will turn on and it will start to conduct. Once it conducts, the switch acts like closed and the current will flow through the load resistance, and this acts like a switched on and resistance will come across the input, and hence the voltage across the resistor or the load will be same as that at the instant at that input. So the input is going to be like this from alpha to pi. So the load voltage will be same as that input from alpha to pi. Next is the load current. So we know that load current will flow only when the switch is turned on, that is from alpha to pi. Hence we are going to see that the load current will also flow from alpha to pi. This is Vt, that is the voltage across the switch, that is the thyristor. So we know that when the thyristor is off, the voltage across the thyristor will be same as the input, and when the thyristor is on, the voltage across the thyristor will be 0. So from 0 to alpha, the thyristor is off, and hence the same voltage which is at the input will come across the thyristor. So it is exactly opposite to the load voltage. So when the load voltage is 0 here, but the voltage across the thyristor will be same as the input voltage. And when the load voltage is available or same as input voltage, the SCR will start to conduct and the voltage will be 0 from alpha to pi. At pi, what happens is the thyristor will be facing negative voltage. So this will be negative, this will be positive. The thyristor will be facing reverse voltage across it and it turns off. So at pi, your thyristor is going to turn off. And we know that if it turns off, the switch is off, load current will not flow through the resistance. Hence, the load voltage will be 0. There will be no current flowing after pi, and the thyristor is going to be off from pi to 2 pi, and when it is off it will get the input voltage which is available at the input across it. So this minus will come here, plus the minus will be connected here, this will be plus, it will come here. So the negative voltage will automatically come across the thyristor when it is off. So this is how your half wave thyristor converter, when the load is resistive, works. So to derive an expression for average DC output voltage across the load of a half wave controlled rectifier, we have to use this formula. So we know that the DC voltage equation is given by 1 upon 2 pi 0 to 2 pi V naught d into omega t, where V naught is same as Vm sin omega t, where alpha is from or conduction is from 0 to 2 pi. So 0 to 2 pi. But in our half wave, it is going to conduct only from 0 to pi. In that also, it will conduct only from alpha to pi. So what we'll do is, we will take the same formula and we'll write VDC equal to 1 upon 2 pi integration of, we will write alpha to pi because it will conduct only from alpha to pi. And V naught is same as Vm sin omega t d omega t. Now if I integrate this equation, I will be getting, bring this Vm outside, Vm by 2 pi alpha to pi sin omega t d omega t, and solving this we will get sin omega t, integration of sin is minus cos. So minus cos omega t, put the limits alpha and pi. So this will be Vm by 2 pi inside the bracket minus pi minus of minus plus cos alpha by substituting these limits pi and alpha. Cos of pi is minus 1. So we will get V naught dc as Vm upon 2 pi 1 minus 1 minus of minus plus 1 plus cos alpha, where Vm is the peak value, that is the peak value of the sine wave, and in terms of RMS we'll write it as Vm is equal to root 2 into Vs. This Vs is RMS. So either I can write it as Vm or I can write this as root 2 into Vs. So in that case root 2 upon 2 it will become 1 upon root 2. Okay, so remember this formula and remember Vm is root 2 into Vs. So we have seen an expression for the average output voltage across the load, which is given by V naught DC equal to Vm by 2 pi 1 plus cos alpha, where Vm is root 2 into Vs. Vs is the RMS value and this is the peak value or the maximum value of the sine. So if this is the case, let us find what is the maximum output DC voltage or output average voltage that we will get. We know that alpha can be changed from 0 to pi. So the minimum voltage you can have alpha is at alpha equal to 0. When alpha equal to 0, your whole sine half sine wave will be coming at the output and hence you may get maximum output voltage. Whereas when alpha is at pi or 180 degrees, okay, even if it starts conducting, SCR will turn off because of the negative. So output is going to be 0 even if alpha is pi. So to find the maximum average DC output voltage, it can be obtained by putting alpha equal to 0. And hence, if I substitute alpha equal to 0 in this equation, I will get the maximum DC voltage, which is equal to Vm by 2 pi into 1 plus cos of 0. Cos of 0 is 1. So VDC max is equal to Vm upon 2 pi. 2 and 2 cancels. We get Vm upon 2 pi. So control characteristics of a single phase half wave phase controlled rectifier with resistive load. We know that V naught DC equal to Vm by pi 1 plus cos alpha. The average DC output voltage is given by this expression and we can obtain the control characteristics by plotting the expression for the DC output voltage as a function of trigger angle. So let's plot and see how this V naught or output voltage can be controlled. How can we control with respect to alpha? So this is the table that we have put across where the first column tells you the firing angle in degrees. In the second column is the output voltage evaluated using the formula that we just derived in the previous slide. And this is the percentage output that we get with respect to the firing angle. So we know that alpha can be varied from 0 to 180 degrees. So we have plotted alpha on this and at an interval of 30 degrees, right? So from 0 to 180 degrees we are plotting, and what we note is when alpha is equal to 0, we are going to get the 100% at the output because maximum voltage is Vm by pi. So what we get at the output is maximum percentage of the VDM, maximum DC voltage. And at alpha equal to 30 degrees, what we are getting is 0.93% or 93.3% of the maximum DC voltage that we can get. So then at 60 we are getting 75%. At 90 obviously I'll get only 50%. At 120 I will get 25% of the maximum DC voltage and so forth. And at 180 degrees, when alpha is 180 degrees, I am going to get 0 at the output or no output at all. Hence the percentage is also 0. So what we note here is as alpha increases from 0 to 180 degrees, the output voltage is going to decrease from maximum DC voltage to a 0 value. Okay, so if you look at the graph, as alpha moves towards the right, that is it is going from 0 to 180 degrees, the output voltage is going to decrease, or as alpha increases, output voltage is going to decrease. So let us analyze how that table that we plotted looks here. So as here we can see that the average DC voltage, okay, can be varied by varying the firing angle. and firing angle can be varied from 0 to 180 degrees, right? So we can plot this control characteristics, that is V naught DC versus alpha, and using this VDC formula that we know. Okay, and here we can see from this graph that as alpha increases, right, the output voltage will start to decrease. Okay, and at, if you see at 50%, that is when alpha is 90 degrees, you will get about 50% of the output voltage. Okay, now there is one more term that we should be associated with, and that is called as the normalized output voltage. So what is normalized is nothing but whatever is VDC, Vn is equal to whatever is the VDC output calculated based on this alpha and the formula that we know, we'll divide that VDC with the maximum value of the DC output voltage. So when we do that, we know that VDC is Vm upon 2 pi 1 plus cos alpha divided by the maximum DC output voltage. We have already derived it as Vm by pi. So we get this normalized value as equal to 1 upon 2 1 plus cos alpha, because Vm cancels and 2 remains, pi cancels. And so I get half 1 plus cos alpha, and I will represent this as a normalized value or output DC voltage. Now what is this normalized output DC voltage? Is normally taken as a reference value whenever we want to do certain comparisons. So when we have different types of controlled rectifiers, if you want to compare, we can compare with respect to the normalized DC value. Okay, so let us continue with the RMS value of the output voltage. RMS is root mean square value. We know that at the output of the rectified half wave bridge rectifier, the output is not a pure DC. It also has got an AC component. So what we derived earlier was the average output voltage or DC output voltage. Let us look at how to derive the root mean square or the AC output voltage of the half wave controlled rectifier with resistive load. So to derive that, the root mean square voltage is given by, we know that V naught RMS is given by 1 upon pi 0 to 2 pi V naught square. This square term, root mean square term, is coming because we are using V naught square d omega t. Okay, and V naught is the Vm sin omega t, that is the formula for V naught, and V omega t equal to alpha to pi. It is going to go from alpha to pi. So substituting, I will get V naught RMS is equal to 1 upon 2 pi integrate. Now I am going to, instead of taking 0 to 2 pi, I am going to take alpha to pi, because your firing angle will vary from alpha to pi. After pi, there is no output. And then V naught is Vm sine squared omega t d omega t. So because we're taking V naught squared, we take it as Vm squared sine squared omega t d omega t, and the whole thing, this has to be to the power of half. So we have taken 1 by 2 here, okay. And by substituting, now for integration, you must have done integration earlier. Sine squared can be represented as 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. So this is a triple trigonometric formula. So substituting for sine squared as 1 minus cos omega t by 2 d omega t to the power of half. Just substitute it. So you can rewrite the formula V naught RMS as, get this Vm squared outside. So 2 outside. So I get Vm squared upon 4 pi integration from alpha to pi, right? So what is left is 1 minus cos 2 omega t d omega t, the whole to the power of half. So this becomes a simplified integration function. So when I do the simplified integration, I can integrate 1 separately and I can integrate cos 2 omega t separately. Again put the limits alpha to pi for both the expressions. So now Vm by 2, I get it outside. I keep 1 by pi inside this, and this omega t I will substitute from alpha to pi. right? Omega t, integration of omega t, d omega t is omega t only. And cos to omega t integration becomes sin to omega t by 2, and the limits of integration are alpha to pi, the whole to the power of half. So V naught RMS becomes equal to Vm by pi 1 by pi. I'll substitute this pi minus alpha inside. Then coming to this is minus, this minus sign, sine of 2 omega t by 2 between the limits alpha to. So I'll substitute wherever there is omega t. So sine of 2 pi, right, minus sine of 2 alpha divided by 2, the whole to the power of half. Sine of 2 pi is nothing but 0, right? So substituting, I will get an expression for VRMS. This is not DC. VRMS or V naught RMS is equal to Vm by 2 into 1 upon pi, pi minus alpha, right? Plus this term is 0. So this minus, this becomes plus. So it will be sine 2 alpha by 2, the whole to the power of half. So to summarize in this video, we have seen a single phase half wave thyristor converter with resistive load. The circuit diagram was explained to you, and this is the waveform for the input, the output current, as well as the voltage across the thyristor VT1. We saw that since in the output both voltage and current both are positive, the working falls in the first quadrant of the waveform. Okay, we also did some derivations as we will see next. So the average DC output voltage is given by the expression V naught DC equal to Vm by 2 pi 1 plus cos alpha. This was the average voltage that we have seen, and if we want to find the maximum voltage, we substitute alpha equal to 0. So in that case, we will get Vm by pi as the maximum output DC voltage. Similarly, we also calculated RMS output voltage, and we got the RMS output voltage as Vm by 2 1 by pi 1 pi minus alpha plus sine 2 alpha by 2 to the under the root sign. So this is the RMS output voltage that we have seen. 6 of the thyristor. So I thank you, and if you have any questions, please get back to me. Thank you again.